is here with me today. Thank you so much for visiting my YouTube
Today,
channel.
in response
to several questions I received, I'm going to discuss how I handle single strand knots. What happens with the formation of knots is that, particularly on curly and kinky hair, our hair doesn't show its true length when it's coiled up. So it'll stretch out, and then as it coils back up, sometimes the hair will wrap around itself or maybe the strand next to it and form a little knot. So what you want to try and do is minimize the occurrence. One thing I think is really important is having as little friction as possible between your hair and other surfaces. So at night, I would suggest either tying your hair up or using a satin pillowcase. But on top of that, I try to avoid sleeping on my hair while it's loose, if at all possible. Like the way my hair is now, I would never just go to bed with my hair like this. I will be asking for a disaster. If you're really focused on growth right now and not so much on styling, I would suggest wearing styles where your ends are pinned up. And that's what I did while I was trying to grow my hair out. I wore my hair pinned up probably about 80% of the time, and that really helped to minimize those single strand knots while I was trying to get to my goals. I wear my hair loose more now, but I also trim my hair more now. Which brings me to my third tip. If you're in a maintenance stage or you really are somebody who doesn't mind the regular trimming, trimming really does help to at least keep the knots, kind of minimize how many you have. But sometimes, at least with my hair, the knots aren't always right on the end, so you may have to actually find the knot and trim it. But honestly, in my opinion, if the knot isn't bothering anything else, I'll leave it there, unless it's right on the very end of my hair or in the area where I'm trimming. I don't go searching for knots and cutting them. That's just too much work. But if I come across one, I will go ahead and cut it. Because what will happen sometimes with those knots is other strands will get caught up in the knot or tangled around the knot, and then it can really create a problem. Probably the biggest thing that I've done that has helped me with my knots is using oils and butters. I did actually a little unscientific experiment with my own hair where I went 2 weeks without using butters on my ends or oils, and all I can say is I had so many more knots than what I usually would have. It was absolutely ridiculous. Here are the oils I like to use. Safflower oil, I get this from Whole Foods, and sometimes I use it straight. I really like to mix it with olive oil and use this on my ends. Other people have told me that they had really, really good results with using castor oil. I personally find castor oil a little too greasy for my taste by itself, so I like to mix it with something else. I haven't used it in a while though because it's just really, really heavy. And I use butters also, so I find that I don't really need the castor oil. But if you only want to use an oil and you're looking for something heavier to coat those ends, then the castor oil might be a good pick. Just please don't use too much or your hair will be greasy and nasty. Another thing I really like is shea butter. Sometimes I take the shea butter and mix it with the oil and put it on my ends, and I really kind of coat them. I take a good amount. Let's see, I'll show you here. And I like this crumbly type of shea butter, not that kind that's, I don't know, I've seen some that's like really cheap looking and gritty and stinky and nasty that I have bought by accident before, and it was just really bad. And if you just rub it together in your fingers and apply it, it really shouldn't leave a film on the hair. If it's leaving a heavy film on your hair, it might be the shea butter, the way it's processed, or maybe you're using too much. But the oils and the shea butter really do help prevent knots on my ends. I don't use the butter on my ends daily. This is something I probably do about every 3 days. Too much butter on my ends actually will build up and cause even more problems. Okay, so thank you for visiting my YouTube channel.